The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
So hello and welcome to another episode of the Star Sport podcast. I'm your host Matthew Hurley. I'm joined today, as always, by Star Sport editor Kieran McCarthy. The Star Sport podcast is brought to you in association with our friends at Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, where your bank really does matter. Choose credit union, choose local, choose community. Now, later on in this show, we will be joined by Rosaleen O'Brien from the Mina Moves to discuss what has been going on in the Mothers and Others club as well. But first of all, Kieran, we have to discuss the Cork Hurlers, the story of this week, probably the story of this year as well. It has been an absolutely outstanding year for the Cork hurling team. And now they're into the All-Ireland hurling final after beating Dublin on a score now of 7 goals and 26 points to 2 goals and 21 points. Both in the stands on the hill as well, and on the pitch, Cork were absolutely dominant, and it was a brilliant win overall. And an All-Ireland final in 2 weeks' time awaits.
Yeah, I suppose first the visual spectacle of last Saturday in Croke Park was really something to behold. I put up an aerial picture on X on, I think it was Saturday evening or Sunday morning, just to show the vast number of Cork fans that swelled Cork Park. We'll have to call it now. It's not Croke Park anymore. It's going to become Cork Park if these numbers keep up. But you had easily 55, 60,000 Cork fans there, which is absolutely incredible. And I saw Dennis Hurley even on X as well saying, was it the largest kind of gathering of Cork fans at a sporting event ever? And you'd have to kind of think, outside of obviously a West Cork Junior A football final, it probably was, kind of to have that number of fans in the one place at the one time. But the Cork Hurlers certainly put on a show for the fans then, to do what they did, just absolutely blew Dublin away, and this is a Dublin team that had stunned Limerick in the quarter-final. So there was always a bit of trepidation because that was obviously a huge result for Dublin to take out Limerick. And there was always the fear of, okay, could lightning strike twice? But Cork put it to bed early on. Hayes and Connolly were just on fire, and just the strength and power of the Cork full forward line, how good the Cork defence was just a really special occasion for Cork hurling. And on it goes now to Sunday, July 20th, 3:30 p.m, Tipperary, and it's Cork's date with destiny.
Exactly so. And I suppose just looking back to this semi-final, Kieran, nothing went wrong in many ways. I know Pat Ryan actually said to the media afterwards that Cork's efficiency has to improve, and their tackling behind has to improve. Well, for efficiency, they got 76% shot accuracy at the weekend. Is that a case of Pat kind of playing down the hype in a way, or does he expect Cork to go up to 80% even in the final? What do you think that kind of quote is after the game?
That's a classic manager, like you said, just trying to play down the hype, kind of just to throw a bit of water on the fire, because he can't have been but incredibly pleased with what he saw on the pitch. To put up 7-26 in an All-Ireland semi-final, it's just spectacular scoring, but he knows that the expectation now and the pressure will start to grow on this Cork team. And he said it after himself, it's about embracing it. It really is. But I think as any good manager like Pat Ryan is, they're just trying to kind of bring his players back down to earth as fast as he could, saying, great job, lads, kind of got through to the final, but there's work to do. I think that was his message after. And that's what he has to do, because while all the fans outside the county know it's kind of hurling fever is going to grip Cork for the next, 10-11 days out from the final, the search for tickets and the excitement and the trip up to Dublin for the make a long weekend of it and go into the game itself. So the fans, of course, will get caught up in the hype, and so they should. It's the same in every other county. Kind of just enjoy this moment, enjoy the build-up, enjoy the occasion. And for the players, they can enjoy that too to a certain degree, but they just can't get swept along in it, because at the end of the day, there's still a job to be done. It's been a brilliant season up to now, winning the league title, winning the Munster title. But if Cork can claim the hat-trick, the clean sweep, like that would just be the stuff of dreams for this group. And you're kind of ending that 20-year wait for the Liam McCarthy too. So Pat Ryan would be very aware that there's a lot on the line, because it's a kind of sport is very fickle too. It owes nobody anything as such, and even though there's such a groundswell of support for this Cork team, and it's like, it would be incredible to see like the colour and the noise and the vibrancy if Cork do get their hands on the Liam McCarthy. But you've got to factor in the Tipperary team too, who'll almost be revelling. Well, they should revel in this kind of underdog status, because they just have to point to Cork and say, look, that's what the expectation is. They're the favourites. They've beaten everyone out the gate so far. Kind of, they're the bookies' favourites to win. So Tip will be kind of, I think, quite happy that all the expectation and the noise and the colour will be on Cork. That's kind of ideal for Tip in the build-up to a final. So I think that's what Pat Ryan was kind of alluding to afterwards, in terms of he just wanted to keep the feet on the ground, because there's a big 2 weeks ahead before hopefully getting the job done.
I suppose, like, we do have a lot of photos in this week's Star as well of West Cork fans in and around the stadium, obviously. Some great aerial photographs as well. Like, the amount of hype around this Cork team, and it's spreading down to West Cork as well, with the amount of support around the team at the moment. Like, I think somebody counted, I think there was, somebody said, what was it, 55, 60,000 Cork fans in a Dublin-based stadium against Dublin. That's absolutely exceptional. And even I was in the pubs beforehand, it was all a sea of red, all Cork. And this is probably epitomising how a team doing so well can gather so much support as well. And the Cork hurling fans, when things are going well, like, I think they're nearly one of the best in the country anyway.
It's just incredible to see the support that the Cork hurlers are getting. Obviously, there's that hardcore element that have always been there. Like, they go to the games, kind of win or lose, they're there all the time, and that's quite large hurling support when you compare to what the Cork footballers get. But what we have now is just the excitement right across the county. So people who don't usually go to hurling games are now being swept up along in it. That's where you have such a large, like, you call it a movement as such. Like, it's just, when you have 55,000 people going, or even more, going to Croke Park for an All-Ireland semi-final, can you tell you that there's something special happening kind of between this Cork team and the Cork fans? And you're right to kind of to pinpoint too, Matthew, that there's a lot travelling from West Cork. And if we're talking about here in West Cork, this is football country. We're kind of, West Cork is known as the heart of football in the county. But I put out a call on social media the weekend saying, any West Cork fans who went to Croke Park for the game, send us in your photos, and we'd print a selection in this Thursday Southern Star, which we have, and that's well worth checking out. But it was just incredible to see the amount of pictures that we got in from Allahy's, Castletown Bear, obviously Newcestown with Luke Mead, Dunmanway, Skibbereen, kind of right across the area. There's Bantry, there's West Cork hurling fans, or West Cork GA fans, really getting behind this team. And I was even chatting to Alan Foley from Skibbereen earlier. He's obviously well known at O'Donovan Rossa, player there for countless years, and he's still going strong. And he made the trip up as well, and he was just talking about how he heard stories about the buses that were caught in the traffic going up, and people missed the first couple of minutes of the game because the traffic was so heavy. Like, anyone on the motorway going up to Dublin on Saturday, like, if you didn't get away at the break of dawn, you're probably going to get caught in that traffic, But it just shows just the number of fans, like the amount of fans getting behind this team. And you're going to imagine, like, there's obviously going to be huge support going up for the final. Like, trying to get your hands in an All-Ireland final ticket, it's like that Willy Wonka golden ticket, It's kind of, it's your ticket to the big event. But that's part of the excitement too. It's just great to see that the Cork hurling team has united the whole county.
Exactly so, and all roads lead to 2 weeks' time. Obviously, a game against Tipperary, which we'll preview in depth in next week's podcast, I'm sure. But look at Tipperary semi-final. They beat Kilkenny on a scoreline of 420 to 30 points, and this game, like, Cork was over well before the final whistle, obviously, but this game was very, very tight, very tense. Obviously, Oisin O'Donoghue gets that spectacular goal for Tipperary to win the game in the end. And then Scoregate happened. We kind of have to mention it, considering Cork are going to play Tipperary in the final. So Noel McGrath pucked a ball which looked to be wide, but the scoreboard operator got confused and put it up to 421 to Tipperary. Then Kilkenny were thinking they were 4 points down, then 3 points down, and eventually They lost the game by what we thought was 3 points. Then they lose by 2 points as from the GA statement later on that night as well. So what controversy there, I'm sure. I'm sure this will blow over. Tipperary are probably the better team on the day against Kilkenny, but bizarre stuff really, Kieran. You would probably expect that at a West Cork game here in Carbery, but in an All-Ireland semi-final, you wouldn't have expected that.
No, bizarre is the right word. It really is unfortunate. Have to give a hat tip to the umpire. Like, what a catch! You know, what a super catch when he fielded that ball. But that's what kind of caused the confusion. Even though the other umpire did wave it wide, like you said rightly, Matthew, it was counted down as a point. So then Kilkenny were chasing the game at the end, feeling that they needed to go for a goal because they thought they were 4 points behind. They're actually 3, and the reality is there was enough time for them to maybe just chip away at the lead with a couple of points, because I think they'd scored 30 points by then, you know, kind of. So they were getting no luck with the goals, but they were tagging on the points all the time. So just a really unfortunate ending to the game. But also, like you said, Matthew, Tip were probably the better team overall, you know. So they definitely deserved I think they deserved their place in the final. And that test will stand to Tip more than Cork's win against Dublin will the Cork, you know, kind of. Like you said, in next week's podcast, we're going to look at this in a bit more in-depth ahead of the final itself. But you really want to be tested. And I mentioned this in previous podcasts about the Cork Camogie team. As I was saying on about how they're kind of blowing every team away in the group stages of the All-Ireland kind of, and they're run through to the All-Ireland semi-final. And that you do need to be tested at some stage, because there will... You would imagine in the All-Ireland final there will come a stage when this Cork team will be pushed to the pin of their collar, like they were supposed to be fair against Limerick a couple of weeks back in the Munster final. But the reality now is it's going to be 6 weeks between Cork's last real serious game, the Munster final, and the All-Ireland final. So that's why Tip will be they'll be quietly confident, as in Kilkenny asked a lot of questions of them, but they had the answers. And like you said, what an incredible goal to effectively win an All-Ireland semi-final, like kind of ride or rover stuff. So it's quite interesting to kind of, I suppose, the different dynamics going into this final. But kind of very interestingly, the first time Cork and Tip have ever met in an All-Ireland hurling final. So there's a kind of even though the counties know each other so well from the Munster series in the league, like there's a kind of a newness to this when it comes to an All-Ireland final. So there'll be a bit of a novelty to that as well. So I think, it's kind of all roads lead to Croke Park on 3:30 p.m, July 20th.
Exactly so. And as Kieran said there, we will preview the game more next week's podcast. We can contain our excitement here in the office, obviously, for the All-Ireland hurling final. It's going to be a magnificent occasion, and we certainly cannot wait for it. Well, the Cork Hurlers did get over the line in Dublin. They won in the capital. The Cork LGFA team unfortunately fell short in the capital over the weekend. They lost 3-15 to 7 points at Parnell Park against Dublin. Joe Carroll's side's championship adventure is over this season. But I suppose, Kieran, a bit of positivity. They got out of Division 2 this year, which was the ultimate aim. They got to the All-Ireland quarter-final after beating Mayo in that game to avoid a relegation playoff, as it turned out as well. They were just beaten by a brilliant Dublin team on the day, with the likes of Hannah Tyrrell and Kate Sullivan really on fire for them. And ultimately, Cork just aren't up to the level yet. That's just the unfortunate reality, really.
That's quite a good synopsis. Like, Cork are a young team. They're getting better, but they're not at the level of the top teams yet. If you look at when Cork played Division 1 sides this year, so obviously Cork were in Division 2 of the National League. So the first time they came up against a Division 1 side was in the Munster Championship. Lost to Kerry, lost to Waterford, met Kerry again in the All-Ireland group stage, lost to Kerry, even though the first half performance was a lot more encouraging. The only Division 1 team that Cork beat this year was Mayo in the All-Ireland group stage, but that was a Mayo team that has been relegated from Division 1. So while Cork up to Division 1 next year, Mayo going back down to Division 2, and then Cork's latest test against a Division 1 team, like you rightly said, Matthew, Dublin were just far too strong. Kind of they weren't easing up. I think the couple of late goals at the end probably put I'm not going to say an unfair glass on the scoreboard, but it made the result look more emphatic. But there's no disputing that Dublin were by far the better team. Joe Carroll will look at that game and know that it's a kind of an eye-opener to his team to say, this is the level that we need to get at if you want to be in contention for the big prizes. And what it did show is that there is a gap there right now in terms of forward play, physicality, teamwork, kind of but we got to remember too, this Dublin team is a lot further down the road than this Cork team. So there are positives Joe Carroll and his management team can take from this year. Number one, they got promotion up to Division 1, which is quite important. It's getting those regular games against the top teams should stand to this team. Number two, a lot of the new players have kind of bedded in, like Amy Corcoran, Katie Horgan, Rosie Corkery. Players like this have now got a good solid season of inter-county under their belt, and that will stand to them as well. And I think important too for Cork is those players now know the level they need to reach if they want to be in contention for the big prizes. You know, they've come up against Dublin, Kerry, Waterford, kind of the top counties up in Division 1, and they've lost all those games. But they have to take the learnings from it. They really do. They'd have to know the kind of level that they need to get to if they do want to put their name in the hat to win either a league title or Munster Championship or at some stage an All-Ireland title. So there's a lot of work to be done, but the heavy loss against Dublin shouldn't detract from, I suppose, the solid work that's gone in this year.
Exactly so, and hopefully Joe Carroll and his team will do a lot better next season, and it is a year of progress, I'm sure, as well. The Cork Camogie team weren't in action, but their semi-final opponents were decided over last weekend. They will play Waterford in Nolan Park at the end of the month. So Waterford beat Clare at the weekend 220 to 210. That means they progress to the semi-finals. The other semi-final will be Tipperary against Galway. I suppose Germanley would be happy enough with that draw here, and Waterford would provide a decent enough test for them in a way. And obviously, regardless of who they were going to get, they were going to be favourites anyway. So with Waterford on form with the likes of Liam Brock and Beck Carton, do you think they could realistically put up a test to the Cork Camogie team?
This is a decent Waterford team. Like, think back a couple of years ago, they got to the final against Cork, and Cork blew them away that day up in Croke Park, getting 5 goals. But it's a Waterford team that's been, I suppose, thereabouts the last couple of years. Cork and Waterford played in the open round of the league. That you go back to the end of February, and Cork won that game up in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. The county should have met in the Munster Senior Camogie Championship final, but the Scots controversy at the time saw that game postponed, and I'm not sure will that even be played this year. Like, kind of at this stage, you wouldn't think it will be. You know, kind of if we're kind of full steam ahead with the business into the All-Ireland series. So it's going to be I think Waterford are good enough to ask questions of this Cork team. But like we said, Matthew, Cork have answered every question put before them so far this year. They've been incredibly impressive. They're favourites to complete the 3 in a row. They'll be favourites to beat Waterford. So the pressure will be on this Cork Camogie team. Yeah. But if any Cork team can handle that pressure right now, it is Germany's side, because they've just proven themselves without a shadow of a doubt to be the best team in the land. But Waterford will ask, they will pose a threat to Cork, kind of. So just the hope is that I suppose the longer break that Cork will have had since their last All-Ireland group game, that it won't count against them. But again, like, you can look at that both ways. Like, would you like to play a game like Waterford did in the quarterfinal, or would you like just a couple of weeks just to regroup and get everyone fresh and ready to go again? So we get our answer at the end of the month. I think that's on July 27th. It's going to be a double header. Yeah, a lot to look forward to for Cork Camogie.
Exactly so, and we'll see how that all progresses in the Camogie Championship. There was County League final action as well over the weekend. So in Division 1, you had in Ballygarvan, St. Finbarrs beat Clonakilty after extra time in a thriller. In Division 2, you had Knocknagree beating Carbery Rangers in Ballyvorney 17 points to 11. In Division 4, you had Ahabullogue beating Bandon quite comprehensively there, 19 points to 2-2 in Ballymaw. In Division 5, you had Kilmurray beating Gabriel Rangers in Dunmanway 223 to 13 points. And the only West Cork side to win a county division title in the football was Argideen Rangers. They beat their Carbery rivals Kilmacabea 112 to 18 in Rossmore. Look at those games, Kieran. First of all, Division 1, I know this is West Cork related, but, well, it is. Clonakilty lost the game, but one guy really stood out, Stephen Sherlock. Like, should he be selected by John Cleary in the Cork team right now? Like, that was an incredible tally. 18 points out of the Bars 120. That was absolutely exceptional. It
is. Sherlock's been kind of shooting the lights out for Bars all the way through the league whenever he's played. And like you said, should the Cork management pick up the phone to Sherlock? It's like, will Sherlock answer the phone to the Cork management? Does he want to go back into the Cork football setup? Obviously, he kind of set out this year, so you'd hope at some stage he will go back in, because the new rules and, I suppose, the modern football, it look just made for a player like Stephen Sherlock. If you watched on Clubber they put up on social media this week Alex Sherlock's scores against Clonakilty. Just an exhibition, whether it was 2-pointers, frees, clipping them over from an angle. Like, the man can score any type of point, and especially with the modern game, with the space that a forward can get, like, he could make hay at intercounty level, and his ability to kick 2-pointers as well. He's just such a sweet striker of a ball. So, yeah, you'd love to see Sherlock back in with the Cork footballers. And this was just an epic game. Like, when went to extra time, the Bars won it late, and Clon and the Bars are going to meet quite soon again in the County Premier Senior Football Championship. So if the appetizer is anything to go by, the main course is going to be something special. So a good win for the Bars, but it was kind of almost a whitewash for the Carbery clubs, Matthew. We didn't have too much look this weekend. I was in Ballyvourney on Friday evening to watch Carbery Rangers lose to Knockdegree, and Ross can't have any complaints there. They just were the better team won. Basically, Michael McSweeney for Knockdegree got man of the match. He was kicked two pointers in the second half. McSweeney kicked two pointers. Ross, they just never got going. Like, 17 minutes before a score was kicked, and I was watching the game, and I was thinking to myself, Matthew, I said, how am I going to make a match report here? Like, there was no scores whatsoever. It's in for 17 minutes. Ross did have a bit of a purple patch. They kicked 5 points on the spin late in the first half, and they seemed to find their groove, but it just never clicked for them. It just never got going. And Seamus Hayes admitted as much after that. There's a bit of work to do before their opener against Carrigaline in a couple of weeks' time, and that's a huge game for both, because they're in that group with the Bars and Clan, So Ross and Carrigaline will earmark that game as must win that game, and it eases any kind of thoughts or fears of being in a relegation scrap. So Carbery Rangers will have a bit of work to do. But you were there, Matthew, to watch the one West Cork team win the County League final this weekend, and well, I suppose there had to be a West Cork winner because there was two West Cork teams, Argideen and Kilmacabea. So what sort of game was it, and were Argideen deserving winners?
They were deserving winners, I would say. Like, their attack really, really impressed me on Friday evening. Like, Fergal Walsh and Sean Walsh, coincidentally, both of them are actually twins, and they played with the Cork Miners in 2020. These guys are definitely guys to watch in the Carbery Championship. Like, their speed off the ball, their speed on the ball, their technical ability, they were absolutely brilliant on Friday evening. Difficult conditions, may I add, as well. Like, it was a windy evening, swirling across the pitch. It was a wet evening as well. Obviously struggled with keeping the paper dry and on the sideline there as well. But yeah, it was just a brilliant performance by Argideen. Dara Holland in the middle of the park as well was very, very good. Bill Fleming, their captain at centre back, led by example. To be fair, Damon Gore, he scored 1-2 from play for Kilmacabea, but overall, Darragh O'Donovan, a cornerback, kept him very, very quiet. And it was a brilliant performance by Argideen in that light as well. Kilmacabea would be disappointed, but Donny O'Donovan, like, I think he was kind of thinking, it's their first year in the County League. To go up to Division 6 is a brilliant achievement. And then championship, like Jim Foley was speaking to me after the game as well, and the Argideen coach, and he was saying, look, championship is where it's at. Yes, a league is won was won on Friday evening, but look, Carbery Championship is the big thing. And coincidentally, both these sides are in the same group with Randallogue and Kilmeen as well. So it will be a competitive Carbery Junior A Football Championship group in that instance as well. So congratulations to Argideen, commiserations to Kilmacabea, but they will meet again in the championship, and it should be an excellent game as well. And the club season is coming thick and fast. And speaking of the club season, obviously the college divisional campaign is obviously shortened this year, but Carbery footballers are out as well. They got beaten this week 7-11 to 118 against Muskerry. Yeah, what is it about teams scoring 7 goals this week? I genuinely don't know, but that game was in Castledown-Kinna. Chris O'Jones got a total of 3-4 in this, where Muskerry were dominant, largely, Kieran, because of the goals.
Yeah, kind of goals win games. That old adage kind of came true here. So the Cork Hurlers have definitely set a trend. They scored 7 goals against Dublin. The Muskerry footballers said, hold my beer, and they go and do the same, So a super win for Muskerry. It's disappointing for Carbery to score 118-119 but come out on the losing side. But when they were pushing at the end to try and get the goals that they needed, they kind of get the way back into the game. It just opened up for Muskerry to pick off a few more scores at the end. So it's Muskerry to go forward now to take on Duhallow in a winner-take-all kind of divisional final, where the victor of that will advance to the quarterfinals of the Premier Senior Football Championship proper. I just think for Carbery, it's just disappointing that it's a one-game season and it's all over now. If you look at at the makeup of that Carbery team. There's some really talented young footballers and that, and they would benefit from kind of a more extended divisional championship, divisional colleges championship. How that would work, I do not know. Kind of a lot of different managers have said about moving this to earlier in the year, and even Conor Hurley, the Macroom man who's in charge of the Musgrave footballers, was telling our reporter after that they had no preparation. Musgrave had no preparation ahead of the game, and that we probably do need to look at moving this somewhere else, because you're coming now like just a couple of weeks out from the county championships, and the clubs will take priority here, and it's hard for divisional teams to get it all together, to train, to kind of get that bond, and kind of in when they just can't meet and can't train. I know that's a question for and a topic for a different day, but for Musgrave, another game, and like you said, Chris Jones 3-4, like a player like him will certainly make a difference at this level. So it'd be interesting to see how Musgrave get on against Duhallow.
Exactly. So, and another few players worth mentioning, Paul Ring at centre back as well, former Cork player. Neil Lord, who broke into the Cork team full back. So Musgrave do have a very, very good team, and obviously best of luck to them in the championship moving forward. We'll take a quick break now, and after the break, we'll be hearing from the Mina Moves.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
So welcome back to the podcast, and in a while we'll be hearing from Rosaleen O'Brien from the Meela Moves to see what is the update there. And I suppose, Kieran, they've been on some journey, the Meela Moves over the last few years or so. So it will be interesting to see what Rosaleen actually says later on in your chat with her.
Yeah, so I caught up with Rosaleen just to have a chat about this huge festival of football that's coming up in Páirc Uí Chaoimh on Saturday, July 26th. So it's kind of that Gaelic4Mothers and Others initiative, and it's going to be a festival of fun and well-being at Cork GA headquarters. So there's 30 Gaelic4Mothers and Others teams from around the county coming to Páirc Uí Chaoimh that weekend to take part in the festival, and as you'll hear from Rosaleen now, I think it's nearly 50 teams applied to take part that weekend. So they did a whole raffle to pick out the lucky 30 teams. So talking about over 500 women from right across the county will descend on Páirc Uí Chaoimh for kind of quite a special day, because as well as the football, it's that well-being aspect of it as well. And there's going to be family fun activities run by the Cork Sports Partnership. There's going to be entertainment on the day by Easy Show, Busy 96 FM, and the 96 FM Street Fleet are on site for the day. And there's going to be numerous kind of local mental health services showcasing what they do, including the Cork Mental Health Foundation. So it's a really, really good initiative, and that's why I caught up with Rosaleen just to have a chat about it. And I started off by asking her what the whole day is about. Delighted to be joined on the Star Sport podcast by Rosaleen O'Brien to chat about a huge event coming up in Páirc Uí Chaoimh later this month on Saturday, July 26th. There's a Gaelic4Mothers and Others Festival of Football and Wellbeing, and it looks like there's 30 teams from all over the county going to take place. So, Rosaleen, talk to us about this event. It looks huge.
Hi, Kieran. Thanks very much for having me. So it's a very, very exciting event. I'm really, really excited about, to be honest. There's 30 teams coming from all over Cork, as you mentioned. I think from West Cork we have 9, which is amazing. So I'm kind of organising the event, I suppose, in my volunteer role, kind of on behalf of the 3 host teams. So we've got the club that I've played for, Meela, but it's Meela Moves is our Gaelic4Mothers and Others joking name, I suppose. We have Middleton Wagpies, and we have Ballyhay Mothers and Others as well that are hosting the day. So we were so lucky to have so many people in organisations after coming on board and involved. I suppose Cork GA are giving us the full facilities for the day, which is absolutely amazing. We're so delighted to have that. There'll be games going on both the stadium pitch and the 4G pitch, which is amazing. I suppose it's a festival of football with a bit of a twist. So it's also a wellbeing day. So we're delighted to have the Healthy Ireland section of Cork County Council, who are going to be hosting positive mental health talks throughout the day with fantastic speakers. We have Cork Sports Partnership that are going to be out in the green area between the 2 pitches, with loads of family fun events going on. And it's all in aid of Cork Mental Health Foundation, which is just absolutely fantastic.
It's brilliant. And a festival of football actually sums it up quite aptly. But take me back to Gaelic4Mothers and Others, the Meela Moves. I suppose just for our listeners out there, explain to us how this team came about and obviously the idea behind it, Rosaleen.
I suppose the initiative is run by the Ladies Gaelic Association, and the whole overall initiative is sponsored by Sports Direct. I suppose it's going on since about 2008. Our team, Meela Moos, has started up in 21, in August 21. So I suppose I'm a blow into the area. I had seen my local club at home, Lisgool, starting it. I kind of had never seen it before. I suppose my daughter was kind of just after starting to play this football. She was 6. She just started with the club. She's 10 now. And I suppose I'd seen them starting it, and I kind of said it at training joking, and I started helping out, I suppose, coaching at the time and getting involved. And everyone had a great laugh that we possibly would start up a football team, us women that some had never played, I suppose. So that's why they got such a laugh out of it. I had played when I was 16. And I suppose when I started helping out, I kind of got my love for football back straight away. It probably was my only regret ever giving it up, to be quite honest. So we kind of put it out there, and next thing we had 42 women arrived the first night of training. We were probably just coming out of COVID as well. So there was restrictions lifting, so people were kind of mad for somewhere to go. It was something for their own heads to get, a bit of headspace, an hour away from the house, an hour away from the kids, if you had children, do you know what I mean? So I suppose with Gaelic4Mothers and Others, you have to be over 25 to play, and you can't be playing with another ladies football team, and can't be playing competitively. It's non-competitive. It's, I suppose, more like the Go Games kind of structure. It's all about the fun and the crack with this initiative, and really, I suppose, a social thing where you get to know new people. And it's just taken off massively across the country with over 500 teams now, which is just amazing.
And it's also given you some incredible opportunities, Rosaleen, to play in Croke Park, to play in the Gaelic Park. You've got the chance to kind of lace up the boots again and just kind of play in these incredible venues.
Yeah, like the opportunities that I have found from a personally, like we got to play at half time in the Ladies All-Ireland a couple of years ago. We did a social media campaign. I'm sure we were tagging you probably loads of it and all the different media outlets. We kind of set up our own Instagram page, I suppose, and just kind of started showcasing our journey, I suppose, of what it can do for women. And, it was just fantastic. So we got the opportunity to play in Croke Park, which was amazing. Pascal Sheehy came down and did an interview with us. And we had said we would love to go to New York. And I suppose after that, we were on the news, and then we kind of reached out to New York ladies. We got the opportunity to play in New York in Gaelic Park, which was just like 5 days away. You can imagine now there was 7 or 8 teams from Ireland went over, and it was just such a fantastic experience. We've already played at half-time in Supervalu Páirc Uí Chaoimh as well, during a men's Alliance National League final. So we've just gotten loads of opportunities, I suppose. For myself, I've done the Learn to Lead course with the LGFA. I did the provincial one with Munster. And I suppose I just see by showcasing all these female initiatives, it's just promotion is so important. So for all the younger kids to see, I suppose, role models, people still being involved in sport, and I'm 43, still involved, and it's fantastic for them to see as well.
Like you mentioned there, there's 9 West Cork teams going to be taking part in this festival of football on the 26th later this month. Have you seen yourself just the growth of this? Like even when I'm looking at social media, you just see all these pictures coming up with Gaelic4Mothers for Others teams. It's really becoming more and more kind of prevalent.
Oh, the growth has been absolutely massive, to be honest. I think when we started, I think we were the only team in West Cork at the time. I think there may have been teams previous to that, the years before it. And now I just seem to not every J club, but there's so many J and LGFA clubs now are really seeing the benefits of it. Our own club, like I had coached for a few years, and then I went down the route of PRO for a couple of years before I went back to work. And you just see, I suppose, the confidence in women. I suppose before, a couple of years ago, I would have stood, helping a J team or whatever, boys or girls team, and I would always put my hand up to do the toilet breaks. Now I'm the one with confidence to put my hand up in a meeting, speak. I suppose I would never in a million years, a couple of years ago, have done an interview or, had a chat like this. I wouldn't have had the confidence to do it, but I suppose I've just, when we all kind of come together, I suppose we're like, you know what, we're actually able to do this. We had 10 women coaching for a Gaelic4Girls program. 10 the women had never ever coached before, and we were lucky enough to get the program from through the Ladies Gaelic, and we've seen a massive increase in the amount of girls joining our club through the Gaelic4Girls program, but also the female coaches involved now from training through the program as well, just going for courses, putting their hand up for stuff. It's just been a fantastic, and like there's over 60 clubs in Cork. When I was, putting this out there with this event, when I kind of put it out there going, maybe this is something like this can happen in Supervalu Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Cork J were so kind to give us the facilities, came on board. And I suppose I put out one message on a WhatsApp group that there's a Cork-based Gaelic4Mothers and Others WhatsApp group now. And that's all I had to do. And I had 50 teams applied for 30 spaces like that within 2 days. We had to do a lottery, do you know what I mean? Like at the Munster Blitz there a couple of weeks ago, like there was 78 teams, I think, and there was a waiting list and people didn't get in. And it's just after taking off massively.
Oh, that's incredible. And I think what's really interesting about this big event coming up is that well-being aspect, and you touched on it there. That's really important, isn't it?
Oh, I'm so delighted to have this aspect of it. I'm very interested in everything to do with positive mental health and all those things. And we're delighted to have the Healthy Ireland section involved in it. We have lots of different speakers on the day. So we have Breed Stack and Juliet Murphy, they're our former Cork ladies footballers speaking. We have Niall McCarthy, who was a former Cork All-Star, Dr. Anne Kiernan, Jen O'Callaghan, nutritional therapist. We have people coming from UCC and MTU as well, speaking about the Gaelic4Mothers and Others research that they've done. So having all these people involved, speaking about positive mental health, which is so important. I think me personally as a woman, going to training, having the laugh, meeting like-minded women, even just after the football side of things is over, it's a massive social thing, which is fantastic for all our heads to get a bit of a headspace. Like a lot of mothers have said, or a lot of players, mothers not necessarily have to be a mother to play, but a lot of people say it's like the hour in the week that you never knew you needed. And it's like free therapy. So instead of paying for counselling, you have the bit of a laugh and a joke. You can have a hard day at work and you come home and you just get out in the fresh air, and it's good for your head, it's good for your body, it's good for everything, And the talks are so important to have it there as well, especially when the charity is Cork Mental Health Foundation. So we're delighted to have them there on the day as well.
No, it's going to be an absolutely fantastic event. If our listeners want to find out any more information, Rosaleen, where can they go?
Yeah, so I suppose we're sharing it across, I run the social media pages for Meela Moves. So we're sharing it across that. We have the media partner, 96 FM, are actually going to be there on the day. So we have Izzy Show Busy, that's going to be MC and DJ for the whole day. And we're delighted to have Ken Parrish doing the after party for us as well. So they will be there on the day with the street fleet. They will be advertising it obviously as well and across our social media pages. And we're also delighted to have Carbery and All Fresh actually as well, supporting the event as well, which is great. So we've got so many partners and it's fantastic.
Incredible. Football and a party after, it doesn't get much better than that. Rosaleen, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Kieran. Have a lovely evening.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
So it is that time of the week again, Kieran, where we look at what's in this Thursday Southern Star. And I suppose everybody would be kind of expecting this, but it's all hurling filled after a brilliant week.
Exactly. The Cork Hurlers are the big show in town right now, and they will be for the next couple of weeks. So we have a lot of coverage on the Cork Hurlers, from Tom Lyons telling us why the Cork Hurlers are good for the soul, to obviously the reaction from the big win against Dublin in the semi-final. And we've already started to look ahead to the All-Ireland final against Tipperary. So that's well worth checking out. And my own column this week is also kind of centred on the Cork Hurlers and why on a journey like this, it's just important just to enjoy the moments, because these really are what count, kind of course it's a destination, And the destination for the Cork Hurlers is the Holden Deline McCarthy. But there's so many moments along the journey that are really special for all the fans. So check out my Last Word column for more. Obviously, we've coverage 2 of all the County Football League finals that were held over the weekend, so that's well worth checking out. And we're looking ahead too to the County Hurling League finals that are on this weekend. And Matthew, you were talking to Kevin O'Donovan of Mahoonaz, who are in county final action this Saturday. This weekend is also a huge weekend for Skibbereen Rowing Club. They're Ireland's #1 rowing club, the most successful rowing club in the country ever, and they could reach another landmark this weekend. They sit on 199 Irish Championship titles. At the Rowing Champs this weekend, they hope to get to 200. So I caught up with Jake McCarthy, who's the twin brother of 2-time Olympic gold medalist Fenton, for us to talk about why the champs are so important to skip rowers, and even a small bit about his own journey too, and what his future in rowing looks like. Also, there's loads this week. It really is packed. We have an interview with Mark Welton. He's the captain of the Bandon Grammar School team that won the Munster Schools Rugby Junior Cup earlier in the year. Mark picked up a Celtic Ross Paddy Palmer West Cork Sport Award recently. Sam Kingston explains to us the 2 West Cork links to the British and Irish lines. We weren't happy with 1 link, we got 2, so thanks to Sam for that. And also our motorsport correspondent Martin Walsh got a front row seat in the Red Bull drifting exhibition that was in Spike Island last weekend, so you can check out Martin's account from that. So there's a load going on. It's an absolutely packed Southern Star Sport, so well worth checking out in the shops Thursday and online as usual.
Absolutely. And as usual, if you are further afield or can't make it to the shops, you could subscribe to the Southern Star e-paper and get the Southern Star on your laptop, tablet or phone. Just go to www.southernstar.ie/subscribe, enter your details, and you'll get an exact replica of the newspaper for less than €2 per week. As always, thanks for listening to the Star Sport podcast, and thanks again to our sponsors at Access Credit Union. If you've enjoyed this, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll be back for the show next week as well. Until then, take care.